Welcome back to the Patton Report. I'm Chris Patton. We got a packed show today covering upcoming games from 2026, Pokemon news, major gaming events, recent industry headlines, and deep dives into Dead Static Drive and 1000X Resist. Segment 1, the big games coming in 2026. As we've hit the new year, I've been wanting to do this for a while and haven't gotten around to it, so let's talk about a few big releases that I'm excited for, and I'm sure most of you out there are excited for as well. First on the list is Coffee Talk Tokyo, which is a indie narrative game. It's kind of a late night simulator set in Tokyo, focused on conversations, storytelling, and kind of emotional character moments. I've become kind of a sucker for these games, as we've seen more and more, like the dad dating simulator and things like that. But it should be a really fun game. It's gotten some great early hype for it coming out, so looking forward to that one. Another game, it's another indie game, action game. It's a 2D roguelike featuring enemy possessions and gothic fantasy control, which is Nevergrave, the Witch in the Curse. This game seems pretty neat. Everything I've seen of it is, I don't know, it almost has like a Kirby feel, with the ability to take instead of you eating them and getting their ability, you kind of take over their body and then can use it against the other enemies in the game, which seems pretty neat. So looking forward to that one. Got a big mainstream game coming out. It's going to be a Pokemon sim game called Pokemon Pokepi, which is a life sim Pokemon game centered on island living, community building, and peaceful interaction. This sounds a lot like an Animal Crossing Stardew Valley comfy cozy game, but set in the world of Pokemon, which is super fun, coming up on Pokemon's 30th anniversary, which we're going to talk about a little later in the show. But what I'm very much looking forward to, for listeners of the show out there who've heard me talk about Pokemon and gush over Pokemon Yellow in the previous episodes, as well as a lot of ROM hacks and things of that nature. One I'm very much looking forward to. I love these kind of just comfy, cozy games that you can sit back and play on the couch, and especially on the Switch too. It's going to be enjoyable. Just throw something on TV and play something you don't have to think too hard about, which is kind of the opposite of the next game that I'm going to be talking about, which is Fatal Frame 2. Crimson Butterfly, which is a remake, but it is a remake of a very popular game. It's one that I played growing up that kind of creeped me out, and I never went back to it, so it's been years and years. I played the initial release. You're talking about when I would have been in middle school or high school. It's a psychological survival horror game where you use a camera to kind of battle spirits in a cursed village. So it's pretty much you walking around and taking photos of different jump scares and things to prevent them from killing you in the game. And it's a fan favorite. And it's one that I never thought I would actually see a remake of. It's not like... It was a popular game, but it wasn't popular to the same extent as something like Resident Evil or Silent Hill within that kind of horror game fan base, you know. Like, it's one that definitely got talked about, but not to the extent of those. So kind of surprised to get that, see that getting created. That takes us to a game I'm very familiar with, in a series that I love dearly, Monster Hunter Stories 3. It's coming out. It's Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection is the title. Is a turn-based RPG where players raise and bond with monsters in a story-driven experience. The one thing that I'm not super stoked on the Monster Hunter series with is it being like a turn-based RPG, as opposed to the traditional Monster Hunter games like a Monster Hunter World, for instance, where you're actively going out and hunting, with the battle experience being more like, I don't want to call it a Dark Souls, because I don't believe it's that hard. Some people do think it's that hard. I don't necessarily. I'm kind of like, let's get a new Monster Hunter World. I will play this, and because, you know, I like Pokemon, and it is similar in the sense that you get to raise a monster and then go do battle. But it's not what I really want out of a Monster Hunter game. I think Monster Hunter World kind of ruined that for me as far as what I'm looking for out of a Monster Hunter game. That Monster Hunter World was so good, and I just want another one of those. Or hell, even a remake of Monster Hunter World, to be honest, with some new added features, maybe some new monsters to battle. Another game that I've talked about, or another series I've talked about in a previous episode and done a deep dive on, Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection is coming out. It's a remastered collection of all the handheld Mega Man titles focused on cyber battles. So you're going to get a new Mega Man Collection game. I do think the first Mega Man Collection game was really great that was released on the 3DS. Hopefully they give this one the same level of care, and hopefully in the near future we'll get an actual proper Mega Man game. That would be great. But for now, this is what we're going to get. I'll probably pick this up, just being a big Mega Man fan. I don't know that that's going to be for everyone. It is kind of very niche and nostalgic based, being it's just the handheld games, and most people who think about Mega Man think about the console games from the NES or Super Nintendo. But we'll see how it does. Big AAA game, Forza Horizon 6. That one is coming out. It's an open world racing set in Japan, emphasizing freedom festivals and spectacle, same as all the other Forza games, but with a new setting, new cars, some newer game modes, new online modes, I believe. They showed the trailer for this, and it looks phenomenal. It looks like it's going to, at least visually, look incredible with the Japanese setting. And yeah, I'm excited to play that. I've dumped hours and hours and hours and hours into Forza Horizon. I love those games. Me and my friend Rob played those kind of together. I love that online element of going, being able to play those races with your friends and seeing who can outdo one another in all of the different racing types. I think that this is where Forza should be leaning towards with all of the different sim racers that are already out there. I don't know that a proper Forza game really makes sense anymore, whereas Forza Horizon, being a little more arcadey, a little more ridiculous in what it is kind of where they should be leaning. I wish there was some sort of actual story mode. There's kind of a vague story mode in Forza, but some sort of like actual character progression type mode in the game that's not just collecting cars. That's asking for a lot out of a racing game. I do realize that, so wouldn't expect to see that really realistically, but either way, I'm excited for the game. It's probably one of the ones that I'm most excited for. Next game up is Life is Strange Reunion, which is based on the Life is Strange series. It's kind of an emotional, choice-driven story about memory and relationships. If you've played any of the Life is Strange games, the original ones were kind of a coming-of-age story. It's all about the decisions you make and investigating things around you to unlock these various memories and continue the story forward. I really enjoy these games. If you haven't played them, I believe the full collection, if I'm not mistaken, is on Xbox Game Pass at the moment. You can go play that. They're just really, really well written, have a great soundtrack. The voice acting is really, really good. It's a game I definitely recommend if you just want something, like almost, I don't want to call it a visual novel because that's taking away from what it is. If you played like the game Firewatch, for instance, and really dug that, then you'll probably really dig Life is Strange, just kind of in the same vein of that game, where it's a lot of walking around and talking and interacting and watching a story play out in front of you. It's not anything that's going to be super action-packed, so don't expect that from the game, but if you just want a really fun story and great character acting and voice acting and good music, it's one that I definitely would recommend. Next game up is Avowed, which is a first-person fantasy RPG by Obsidian. It is one of those, so if you're a fan of Obsidian games, you'll probably really love this one. It's focused on, deep player choices and deep lore within that world, and what I know a lot of people have been looking forward to for quite some time, so that will be coming out this year as well. And then there are a ton of rumored games. Supposedly, right? We're supposed to be getting Grand Theft Auto 6. I would almost guarantee that's going to get pushed out to 2027. That's what it seems like. It's disappointing. I feel like we just keep waiting for some of the bigger games on this list. And we haven't truly gotten that yet, like a confirmed date, a few others, for sure, that would be on that list, for instance, would be Fable. What are we going to get What are we going to get from that? When's that getting announced? Is it going to be released in 2026? It's a bunch of different things like that, like a bunch of games that you would expect to have already gotten something from, but haven't yet. There's some tease titles that are supposed to be coming out as early as this month. And like, for instance, Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, Neo 3, Yakuza Kiwami 3, which is a remake of the Yakuza Kiwami series, and Life is Strange Reunion, which we already talked about. But also Persona 4 Revival, which is a remake of Persona 4, and Directive 8020. These are all games that I have had teasers on, but no official release date for. So I know, like, for instance, Dragon Quest VII, that one was already announced. Yakuza Kiwami 3, that was already been announced. Those I felt like everyone kind of knew about as they were announced in the previous years, so I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on them. That takes us into segment 2, which is exciting news if you live in Japan. I don't, so a little less exciting. Hopefully I can get there someday. But we're getting the Pokemon World theme park, plus the anniversary of Pokemon, the 30th anniversary. Pokepark Kanto is the first Paramount Pokemon theme park. It opens on February 5th, 2026 in Tokyo's in Tokyo, and it's split into two main zones: a Pokemon Forest, trails with tons of Pokemon encounters, and Sedgetown, shop shows, and a battle court. Visitors will be able to see over 600 Pokemon scattered throughout the park environment, and it's supposed to be a world-class Pokemon experience. There's going to be other Pokemon things announced specifically for Universal Studios Japan, with plans for future expansions globally, or Orlando, LA, Singapore, etc., as part of Pokemon's 30th anniversary celebration. So if you're a Pokemon fan, this might be a go-to destination. I did see some teasers of the early admittance that people have had online. There's some great footage of someone going into the Poke Center, for instance, and handing the Pokeballs to Nurse Joy. Nurse Joy, the nurse, we won't say Nurse Joy, that offends some people, but healing the Pokemon and giving them the balls back. I'm curious what the elements of this is, as far as digital elements and the catching of Pokemon, or if it's just a walk around seeing. I saw a lot of the statues they had up. They look incredible. There was a giant Onix that they showed, and then a bunch of other, smaller Pokemon grouped together, and different things like Pokemon, like a big fountain with different Pokemon kind of bathing in the fountain, things like that. So if you're a big Pokemon fan, it seems like something that you'd be interested in. It's definitely probably a trip worth. I mean, there's other reasons to go to Japan as well, but definitely something you could put on the list if you're planning a trip to Japan anytime in the near future. Something I would really, really enjoy. And it does make me excited to hear that they're going to be doing something in Orlando that's a little closer, something probably more realistic for me. But who knows? Maybe Japan's right around the corner. I've been planning and wanting to go there for a very long time, specifically go see a New Japan pro wrestling match at the Tokyo Dome. I think that would be really, really cool. Or a show, I should say, not just an individual match, but a show. So the Pokemon 30th anniversary in general, 2026, marks 30 years since the Pokemon's inception in 1996, and celebrations are ramping up kind of across games, TCG, and all their events. There's a big buzz about it. We're expecting potential game announcements for Generation 10, which I think is going to be the biggest thing coming out of this. We got Fat Pikachu. They've re-released Fat Pikachu, which is pretty incredible. The card sales have been through the roof as expected, and they have stayed out of stock on pretty much everything, especially with scalpers and stuff. But that gets into a whole different conversation of people just treating that hobby like more like a currency than a hobby to some extent. But yeah, cool stuff all around for Pokemon 30th anniversary. Looking forward to seeing what we get out, what announcements are going to be made. It should be towards the end of this month. I believe they'll be doing a Pokemon Direct or some big Pokemon event to announce the news of everything from the actual card game itself to the Pokemon TCG. Was it TCG Pocket? Any kind of DLC for ZA, and if they release any further DLC for Scarlet Violet. as well as any new games that they're going to announce and any new news on those games. So yeah, just all exciting stuff. We do have some dates for some other big events. Nintendo Directs, there's multiple rumored throughout the year. We've already gotten that confirmed. The first likely is going to be in spring, so I'm thinking March. For Xbox and the Xbox Directs, these are more mid-year, so probably, mid-year, probably June or July. That's when they've typically happened in the past. That's when we'll get to see the big trailers for Forza Horizon 6 and potentially Fable, so that's something to keep up with. And then PlayStation State of Play, they have multiple showcases windows throughout 2026 scheduled to reveal new PS5 titles. And then obviously Pokemon Day, that's usually February 27th. That's when we're going to be getting all the expected anniversary announcements and the ones to be looking forward to for that. So speaking of these directs, we had the PlayStation State of Play in Japan, where new trailers showed updates. The new trailers and updates showed specifically the biggest thing coming out of that was the Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly remake and Elden Ring Night Rain DLC Forsaken Hollows. So if you're a fan of either of those games, definitely go check out the PlayStation State of Play. You'll dig those trailers. There were other things announced. Those were the two biggest that I took out of it. Probably the coolest of the show, but there was other things as well. They did show a new tactical hero shooter, Fate Trigger. It's a class-based shooter. It begins in early access in Q1 of 2026, so that would be coming soon, if not already out, with fresh heroes and maps. And that's going to be... I'll probably check that out at some point. I don't know if I really want another one of these kind of games, another hero shooter. There's a lot of them out right now. Marvel Rivals probably being the biggest. Marvel Rivals and Valorant to some extent, but yeah, there's a lot of these. I need something to draw me in more than just telling me it's a tactical class-based shooter. There's a lot of those, so. The Forza Horizon 6 Japan settings, that definitely got shown with from Xbox. Confirmation of Forza Horizon 6 cross-platform release, so it's going to be on everything, including PlayStation, which is going to be neat. So they showed the PS5 version of that, some trailers from that, and yeah, I'm once again, that's a game I'm very, very excited for. And then as far as community buzz and everything going on there is just with Pokemon 30th anniversary, the Gen 10 speculation, what new Pokemons are we going to get in Pokemon Champions' role in competitive gameplay. Pokemon Champions is going to be more of a straightforward battle game without the aspects of your standard Pokemon game from what I've read and seen. Which is going to be cool. It's going to be interesting to see if that leads more into competitive play, because if not, they're going to be kind of locked into Scarlet and Violet. So the announcements on that are going to be huge for like the VGC side of competitive play for Pokemon. I don't really have an opinion on that. I play a little bit here online. Competitive play, it's not something I've ever gotten super into. It is fun. It's a lot of damage calcs, man. Doing a lot of damage calculations. I'm more of just like to play the story, play different ROM hacks, maybe attempt my own Nuzlocke kind of guy. But yeah, getting into the battle aspect of it, I find it really fun to watch the tournaments and try to get a general understanding of it. But it's not something I've ever dove into too deep, unless there was some kind of event that I'm getting a reward out of through like Scarlet and Violet or some of the other games. But yeah, that's exciting. It's exciting to hear about all the Pokemon news, and that it's been 30 years. That makes me feel super old. Not gonna lie. super, super old. But it is what it is, man. Everything, it's crazy to think, the first time I played Pokemon Red, I didn't think I would be talking about it or playing, ROM hacks of it 30 plus years later. But here we are, man. Everyone said Pokemon was a fad, but it's not. It's here to stay. It's the the highest selling franchise in the world still to this day. So I don't expect it to go anywhere, and it's exciting to see what news is going to be coming out of that. So for games that I played two new games, new-ish games. I don't want to say new. Two new games for me. We'll go with that. The first being Dead Static Drive. It's a indie title blending road trip adventuring with cosmic horror, kind of, Lovecraftian themes, leviathans, that kind of stuff. So if you're into that, the atmosphere and everything is really, really neat. You play as a character on a long distance road trip that turns nightmarish when Lovecraft style horrors begin to tear reality apart. So there's basically a meteor crash, and they start taking over human bodies. So there's kind of almost a zombie element to it as well. And it mixes driving, survival, resource management, and encounters with bizarre characters in a surreal, often unsettling world where you're trying to find out what happened to your parents. And the gameplay is driving and survival mechanics that constantly put you on edge. The biggest thing is fuel management, vehicle management, exploration. The tone's very dark, though sometimes humorous. A lot of the conversations between your characters and everything is definitely tongue-in-cheek as far as humor goes. The narrative is very much driven by you as a character. You do get choices, and as far as the exploration goes, that's kind of, there is definitely waypoints that they're trying to send you to. You don't necessarily have to do it in any specific order, but yeah, it's an interesting game. I enjoyed it. I did hit a lock in the game where I couldn't get past a certain point, so towards the end of the game, the developers did respond to me on Reddit and gave me some workarounds for that. I have not had a chance to try those, but there was other people that hit the same thing, so hopefully that'll just get patched out. But yeah, it was a very, very fun game. I know the reviews were kind of mixed on it when I went into playing it, but I thought it was I love the overall art style of the game. I thought it was really cool. You play isometric. It has kind of like a Grand Theft Auto feel to it, where you're anytime you're in a car, it looks like one of the original Grand Theft Auto games. So it's isometric, but it has this cool thing where you can turn the camera using the bumpers, and you can kind of get these cool artsy looking shots as you're traveling down these windy roads. I would say get the sniper rifle. Once you get the sniper rifle, the game goes a lot easier for you encountering these monsters. And try to keep your team alive. If they go down, you can res them. So try to keep the people alive. I think one of the reasons I hit the glitch that I did is one of the characters in my party died, and I just left them because I couldn't find where their body was, or they disappeared, or I can't remember exactly what happened. But then later on in a mission, I kind of got hard locked. So just something to be aware of if you play the game, which I do recommend playing. It is on Game Pass for free. Definitely one worth checking out. It's worth your time. Recommend it. Hopefully they get some of the kinks worked out of it. It may be better on PC. I believe that one's getting patched a bit more often than the console versions, but I played on Xbox as it was a Game Pass game. And one that I recommend, like I said, I think it's, even if you had to restart the game a couple times, you're going to get a different experience each time you play it, because it's just kind of the nature of a survival game. You're not going to have the same experience. So if I'm deadlocked, maybe I'll restart and try not to make the same mistake I made by letting that guy die and then disappear. So we'll see, but I'll keep you guys informed if I go back and play that for sure. The next game that I played is one that was very much raved about. It has, very, very good reviews. It's won a ton of indie awards. It's 1000X Resist. On the narrative front, it's very much a standout, not for its gameplay, but for its science fiction storytelling and the experience you get from the game, the story that the game kind of gives you throughout. You play as a watcher, one of many clones exploring memories in a post-apocalyptic future after an alien invasion. The game focuses deeply on kind of the identity, trauma, memory, and existential themes happening in that world. There's, it's a hard game to talk about and explain. I think it's something, if you like sci-fi, something you should just experience, something you should just lock into and play. As far as gameplay, there's very minimal combat. The experience is very much more about exploration, conversations, and communions, which are the memory segments that alter the story and the player perception. Now, this game, as you make decisions, the story does shift quite a bit depending on what choices you make. There are various different endings. If you're one of the people that hate getting a bad ending or not where you think it might want to go, you may want to look at a guide just for certain question answers as you play along. I know some people get really mad about that. Or not mad, but can be disappointed towards the end of a game. The way I go about that is I just, always pick the choice that feels right. And worst case scenario, I can look up the different endings and different cutscenes depending on what path you take on YouTube. That's what that's for, really. But yeah, it's very much almost like a playable sci-fi novel. Very rich with narrative and depth, and one I highly recommend. I really enjoyed it. It is the best sci-fi thing I've watched or played in quite some time, whether a game or a movie. I just thought it was a really unique idea and a different take on something that I hadn't seen done, right? So like a whole different idea as far as science fiction goes, and I thought it was really cool. Two big thumbs up for me. It's a wonderful game. I started playing it and I just couldn't put it down, so I finished it within 1 weekend. Luckily, my power didn't go out because we've had a lot of snowstorms here. Not snowstorms. We don't really get snowstorms as much as ice and the worry that trees are going to fall and knock out power. But so couldn't go anywhere that weekend and knocked that game out as well as Dead Static Drive. And yeah, both wonderful games worth checking out. And that wraps up today's Patton Report. We've covered top upcoming games for 2026, Pokemon Theme Park, anniversary news, key gaming event dates, fresh headlines, and deep dives into Dead Static Drive, and 1000X Resist. Which games are you most hyped for? Let us know on social or in the comments, and we'll see you next time.